Start.
Hello everyone, a very warm welcome from Xplore XLRI. I am Ipshita Tripathi and I'm thrilled to host this exciting conversation with Mr. Prateek Roy Chowdhury and Mr. Nitin Babel, the co-authors of the Storypreneur's Playbook, a compelling collection of 15 real-life stories of entrepreneurship. Mr. Prateek Roy Chowdhury is a seasoned HR leader at a multinational corporation. Growing up with the vibrant tales of the Amar Chitra Katha, his love for storytelling found deeper roots in the world of psychology and mentorship at IIT Kharagpur. Today, he channels this passion into empowering future leaders and entrepreneurs in their startup journeys. Mr. Nitin Babel is a two-time entrepreneur, named to Forbes Asia's 30 Under 30 recognition and awarded as a Young Alumni Achiever at IIT Kharagpur. He co-founded an AI startup that got investors the likes of late Mr. Ratan Tata. Through this book, Nitin brings to life the honest and multidimensional stories of entrepreneurship, making it must-read for anyone looking to take the leap. Once again, on the behalf of the XLRI community, I extend a very warm welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So starting with the story behind the stories, the title, The Storypreneur's Playbook, is a very interesting title. So can you tell us how you came up with this?
So the book is actually in a way a reflection of who we are. Nitin is an entrepreneur and I am a storyteller, and together we thought, what about if we could find ways to merge the phases of storytelling with the journey that an entrepreneur has, but also make it relatable and pragmatic and add some exercises, and hence the playbook. That's what it's about, the Storypreneur's Playbook.
That's a really interesting story. And not just the title of the book, I have observed that the titles of all the chapters are also very creatively crafted. So what was the motivation behind naming the chapters creatively in spite of just saying chapter 1, chapter 2, like that?
Please.
So I think what we wanted to do was create a unique product, so to speak, right? I mean, you go in the market, you read about books in this category. You will find that most of the books will have 15 chapters, and each chapter will be covering one one person, right? So that's the standard. As such, we wanted to do something unique. At the same time, when we actually were collecting all these stories, right, we realized that there is a pattern, right? We could see that all of them had some starting point in their journey. Those starting points could be different, but the core emotion behind that starting point was the same, which was hope, right? And that's how the chapter Call to Adventure sort of got named, right? Yeah. Because everybody had a hope, and based on that, they went into an adventure, right? So that's how it got created. And then similarly, once they started, again, there were so many restrictions, constraints, boundaries, fears that emerged, right? So again, that emotion of fear was the same, and hence the second chapter was refusal of the call, right? So you can, if all the chapters connect to a core emotion of the journey that an entrepreneur takes, right? Which is the hero's journey, right? You have hope, you have refusal, which is fear, you have courage that is needed. And all of that, right? And that's how all the names of the chapters emerged.
I would like to mention that the chapter names are so creative. Just going through the names of the chapters wants me to add this to the top of my reading list right now. Moving on, we would want to know why you chose to speak about entrepreneurs, why their stories, and why now of all times.
Yeah, so as Prateek said, right, I've been an entrepreneur, most of my time in the last decade. Right? So I've seen that world very closely, and what I've observed is that a lot of what an entrepreneur goes through is not spoken about, right? Social media is mostly filled with all the positive narratives, right? But what goes behind the scene is really spoken about. Versus what's happening is that a lot of Now, a lot of youngsters want to pursue entrepreneurship as a career, right? People who are in their final years or recent graduates are thinking about this as a career. So when you're thinking about something as a potential career, you should know, the 360 of it, which is not available out there. And that was one of the, core reasons when we said that, okay, let's talk about the authentic stories of the entrepreneurs and give people a fair reflection of how this journey could be, rather than saying that it's going to be all great and you're going to become like a billionaire, right? No, the success rates in startups are probably 1 in 100, right? So you should know that reality, and you should know that there will be ups and downs. You should know that there will be fear. You should know that you need a lot of courage, support system, everything to go along with you in this journey, right? So that was one of the core reasons that I was compelled to write about it, because I saw that a lot of people were taking that leap of faith without knowing the 360 of it, which could end well, but which would also end not so well.
Yeah.
So that was one of my core reasons.
So I just want to add to that India has been a land, I think if you see, and what differentiates Indians from a lot of different cultures is that historically we have been entrepreneurial, right? If you look at the Indus Valley civilization, or if you look at Hampi, where I visited recently, they have the Vijayanagara Empire. In Vithala temple, there is a stone inscription, and the guide said, "Why don't you go close and look at it?" And when I looked at it, I saw there was an Indian man and there was a Chinese man, and the Chinese man was counting the teeth of a horse, which shows the age of the horse, which showed that there was trade going on in 15th century in South India with China. So there is so much entrepreneurship in our history. But I think with almost 2.5 centuries of colonial rule, we have become a little fearful in terms of what this country can do. As they say that the lines in our national anthem is also Bharat Bhagya Vidhata. I think entrepreneurship is just, it has so much potential in terms of making India the leading nation of the world. And I'm hoping that entrepreneurs can read this book, own their story, and go out and create history. So I think that is why we wrote the book.
Okay, so the basic goal here is to show the reality to those who are taking the leap of faith by seeing the tip of the iceberg, and to show the courage to those who are having the idea and are facing fear right
Yes.
now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Penguin House is one of the most powerful platforms where ideas actually find global readers. How did the Storypreneur's Playbook find its way to Penguin, or was it the other way around?
So we actually wanted to write this book, and we wrote it for a couple of years before finally, pitching it to various publishers. When Penguin heard about our story, initially on the surface, it looks like an ordinary story of entrepreneurship, and there is just so much in this space. But I think what they found unique in the story is the angle of owning your story. And hence, once we had a conversation with the editor, and they found that this has potential, not just to be one of the entrepreneurship books, but being the book that actually connects all of the entrepreneurship stories together. And that's how they decided to invest in this book, and that's how this has been together. But we are very grateful for Penguin for being a fantastic publisher and for helping indie authors like us make it here.
Yeah, so it's the other side of the story that stood out for the Storypreneur's Playbook.
Yeah.
So, as someone who has written and published a book myself, I happen to know the journey from a blank page to a published book and the feeling that comes when you get the first copy in your hand. But the journey also involves a lot of challenges and uncertainties. So, how would you guide aspiring authors like the ones like me to overcome such challenges and move beyond that to actually pursue what we are trying to do?
Sure. I'll start, and
Of course,
if
please,
you can
please,
add, right?
please.
I think when I decided to write a book, I think in the first week I reached out to Prateek, right? And I think that action was one of the reasons that we are here today, right? So I mean, yes, you are right. A lot of challenges when you are building any product from scratch, right? And it was almost a 3-year journey, so, as such, right? And being first-time authors, a lot of times we were not even, you know, aware as to what next step we should take in the process. So a lot of unknowns, and hence, for me at least, what worked out was that having a co-author, right, whom I could trust and have a compatibility with, right. He's the storyteller, I'm the entrepreneur, so I mean, yin and yang, as they say, right.
Yeah.
Really worked out.
Storypreneur.
So I think that is one thing that helps cross the threshold in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I just one advice is they say that water cuts through rocks.
Yeah.
We didn't write this book overnight, and this book was written pre-ChatGPT just for
Yeah.
everyone's benefit. So we spent many weekends. I think those 1 hours and 2 hours, and we had a like a bi-weekly cadence. We used to meet every Wednesday evenings and Saturday mornings. So my only advice to anyone aspiring to write a book is that get it out. I mean, you get your first 5,000 words out, you get your first 10,000 words out, but just write. I think your style begins to form when you have written 5,000, 10,000 words, and if you consistently do that, and I had a fantastic partner in Nitin who encouraged me, but I'm hoping we both challenged each other in different ways, but we kept each other honest to the journey. I think that really helps. So if you want to write a big book, I think that consistency of cutting through rocks is what makes anyone successful as a writer.
Absolutely. And just adding one more point right on this, that it is also, at least in our case, it was crucial to, keep a focus on the next milestone as such, rather than, thinking about, hey, I want to, let's say, how do I make this a bestseller? How do I write the next chapter, right? And give it my best. I think that was pretty important, because the initial milestone for me was simply that, hey, I want to write something that tomorrow I would love reading. That's it. I mean, not writing for anybody else right now, not for the world. Just something that I would like to read. Like a simple milestone. And then, once it was done, okay, now I would like to, get it published. And then, now I would like the best publisher to publish it.
Yeah.
And then, now we'll want to make it a bestseller and a volume and all of that, right? So maybe, a lot of times when we are in the journey, we think about maybe a milestone which is not imaginable, and then sort of get demotivated, versus having a clear focus on the next milestone. And as Prateek said, right, just be at it, really helps you move forward.
So we have to keep moving on, and we have to take one step at a time. That's the key for a book like the Storypreneur's Playbook to make it. Okay. So my next question is to Prateek sir.
Sure.
Okay. You're known to believe that stories have the power to alter destinies. So could you share one story of yours that actually changed the course of your life?
I think when I was when I was a little boy, right, I grew up in a place called Arunachal Pradesh, far east. That's the first place that the sun hits India. And my parents used to get transferred, so we used to be in very high mountains one day, and then the next day you were in a river valley. So you used to live in very close to nature, but in different places. And I feel in places away from urban cities, there is a certain magic, there is a certain terror as well in terms of nature. And when I was a little kid, I used to always feel a little scared with the sound of the trees, and when it started pattering on tin roofs, and that, and at that time my father used to take me out, not on the rainy days, but on the days when it was not raining, out and look up at the night sky. And in the night sky, amongst 1,000 stars, he showed me, like, there are these 3 stars And I could see that line. Yes, I can see those three stars. And then he showed me a fourth and a fifth. And then he showed me a pattern which a lot of people know as Ursa Major or Big Bear, or in Bengali as they call it Saptarishi Mandal.
Saptarishi Mandal.
So it is somewhere. My father said that sometimes when things don't make sense to you, and in life, so much doesn't, right? We're so busy in our lives. AI is taking over our lives. There's social media that's distracting us. Sometimes I think you have to figure out what is your truth, and if you can see that truth and connect the dots, I think you can take your journey forward. So I think that is one story of my life I fondly remember. My father is no more, but I can remember that time that I spent with my father, and how it's made a huge impact in my life.
Okay, so that's a really touching story about stargazing with your father. To you, Nitin sir. You have co-founded 2 startups, and now you have co-authored a book with Mr. Prateek Roy Chowdhury. What's one powerful lesson that these collaborative journeys have consistently taught you?
Yeah, I'm actually a very firm believer of having those partnerships. Just like in cricket, right? You have like Tendulkar and Sehwag, right? I mean, you mentioned 2 startups and the book. I also think my partnership with my wife also, something that I really would like to mention as well, because all of this has really given me a lot of growth. At the same time, a lot of enjoyment as such. So, I mean, uh, there was a time when I was, let's say, preparing for IITs, wherein I was just playing a solo game, right? And I do think that if I had to go back in time and change something about it, I would definitely have, had a partnership there as well, because I've seen the power of partnerships. 1 + 1 is not 2; it's more, greater than 2 when you have a right partner. So yeah, I mean, I think I've learned that lesson, and then uske baad, say whenever I've applied it, be it in my startups, be it with my book or at home, that is something that has given me more gains, than a solo game. So I would encourage everybody to actually, find that partner in whatever big life outcome they are looking to chase.
Okay, so the sum of individuals is always less than a group, or a group is always more than the sum of the individuals. So now we'll have a small rapid fire, and we'll start with Prateek sir. Okay, so what would you like to read, articles or novels?
Novels any day.
Okay, novels or short stories?
Short stories.
Short stories or poems?
Short stories.
Okay, short stories or shairi?
Short
Short
stories.
stories. Okay. To you now. Reading all day or writing all day?
Reading all day.
Okay. Paperback or ebook?
Fun, but paperback.
Okay. Not an ebook.
I read more ebooks, but then my heart is mostly.
Okay, ebooks or podcasts?
Ebooks.
Ebooks. Okay. So now my last question to both of you. What are 3 books that you have loved reading, that are your favorite reads of all times?
Okay. My favorite book of all time is The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It's a small children's book, which is not really a children's book, so it has got a lot of wisdom. Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie, which is a huge favorite. The whole plot of it, the whole theater around it. And a book that's really shaped me over the years is also Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. So these 3 books I really loved.
Right. It's a tough one, right? But one of the books that I really admired is Open by Andre Agassi. Right. It's his biography, and I think it's one of the most honest biographies that I read. One of the other books that I really appreciated is Animal Farm by George Orwell.
George Orwell.
I've read it many times. Right? I mean, the way in just 100 pages or maybe less than that, he has explained a concept which is eternal, and something that I really enjoyed the craft as well as the story, right? I think definitely we'll have to say Mahabharata as a story. I mean, it is
Yeah,
the all-time,
true.
greatest story I would say ever told, and I really enjoy the various characters of it.
Okay, now I'll go for 3 books that you would urge budding entrepreneurs to read. So
I think
you
everyone
can start with the Storypreneur's Playbook, of course.
Of course, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
That's the first one for sure. I would encourage everybody to read, every entrepreneur especially, to read Psychology of Money, right? Because I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs make mistakes, when it comes to personal finances, when they are all looking to increase valuation of their companies. The valuation of their personal finance, or essentially the value of their own wealth, is something that they neglect, which can become difficult in the times when markets are not in your favor, right? So yeah, Psychology of Money is what I would recommend.
Okay, any recommendation from you?
I think The Goal by Eliyahu Goldratt. It might not be an entrepreneurship book, but it's very relevant in today's time. Yeah.
Okay. So with that, we would like to conclude, and sincerely grateful to both of you for finding out time to speak to us, and really inspiring words that we got from you, whether it was as an author or as a budding entrepreneur. And definitely want to read this book, the first thing that I do. And yeah, looking forward to the journey of reading this book. So
Thank you
we
so much.
also urge
Thank you.
everyone to read the Storypreneur's Playbook in order to find the inspiration behind these 15 stories of the entrepreneurs of India.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
This was a
much.
pleasure. Thank you so much for
Thank
hosting
you so
us.
much.
Thank you.